The Galactic Military Academy's combat theory classroom fell silent as Cadet Marcus Sheen entered, his human frame appearing almost fragile among the towering Vorthic warriors and the heavily armored Krek soldiers. The mixed species class had been studying theoretical combat scenarios for months, but today's lesson would prove to be anything but theoretical. Professor Zektar, a veteran Vorthak commander with scars crisscrossing his chitinous exoskeleton, gestured toward the center of the room where holographic training mats materialize. Today we move from theory to practice. His translator device rendered his clicking speech into standard galactic. Hand-to-hand combat assessment. Pair assignments are final. Marcus glanced at his datapad and felt his stomach drop. He'd been paired with Throkan, the largest Vorthic in their year, a specimen whose species had evolved from apex predators on a high-gravity death world. At nearly 3 meters tall and possessing 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws, Throkan was everything the recruitment posters warned humans about when joining integrated military units. The other cadets formed a circle around the training area, many placing bets on how quickly the human would be hospitalized. Vorthic physiology was legendary throughout the galaxy. Their reflexes were 3 times faster than most species. Their exoskeletons could deflect plasma bolts, and their strength could crush steel. "This should be entertaining," muttered Cadet Vexme, a serpentine Salian whose people had allied with humanity only recently. "I've never seen a human last more than 30 seconds against a Vorthic warrior." Throkan stepped onto the training mat, his forearms flexing as his claws extended to their full length. The holographic safety barriers hummed to life around them, though everyone knew they were more for the humans' protection than anything else. "Begin when ready," Professor Zektar announced, though his tone suggested he was already preparing to call for medical assistance. What happened next will be analyzed in military academies across the galaxy for decades to come. Throkan lunged forward with the speed that had made his species the terror of 3-star systems, all 4 arms striking simultaneously in a pattern that should have ended the fight before it began. But Marcus wasn't there. The human had moved not with impossible speed or strength, but with something the Vorthic had never encountered: pure, calculated efficiency. Marcus ducked under the first 2 strikes, stepped inside the reach of the third, and used Throkan's own momentum to redirect the 4th. The massive alien's balance, perfect for his homeworld's crushing gravity, became a liability in the Academy's standard Earth normal environment. "Impossible," breathed Cadet Zilmer, a crystalline being whose people communicated through harmonic resonance. The human is still standing, but Marcus was doing more than standing. As Throkan recovered and launched another assault, the human began to demonstrate why his species had fought their way off a predator-filled planet with nothing but primitive tools and stubborn determination, where other species had evolved specialized combat abilities: the Vorthic's speed and claws, the Krex's armored shells. The Gelinari S-energy projection humans had evolved something far more dangerous: the ability to learn, adapt, and overcome any opponent through sheer tactical brilliance. Marcus had spent months studying not just combat theory, but the physiology and fighting styles of every species in their class. He knew that Vorthic joints, despite their strength, had specific points of weakness. He knew their attack patterns were instinctively programmed and therefore predictable. Most importantly, he knew that their psychology made them increasingly reckless when facing unexpected resistance. The second exchange lasted longer. Throkan's strikes became more desperate as his easy victory continued to slip away. Marcus moved like liquid shadow, always just out of reach, using minimal energy while forcing his opponent to exhaust himself with increasingly wild attacks. "He's not fighting the Vortic's strength," observed Professor Zektar, his voice filled with growing respect. "He's fighting the Vortic's assumptions." The end came suddenly. Throkan, frustrated and oxygen depleted from his high-intensity assault, committed to a 4-arm striking combination that left him momentarily overextended. Marcus stepped inside the attack, grabbed one of the alien's secondary arms, and use a joint manipulation technique that every human child learned in basic self-defense classes. The Vorthic's own forward momentum, combined with the perfect leap. Apply leverage, sent all 3 meters and 200 kilograms of apex predator spinning through the air. Throcan's spine hit the training mat with a sound like thunder, and he lay motionless except for the rapid rise and fall of his breathing. Spiracles. The classroom erupted in shocked silence, broken only by the soft hum of the holographic barriers powering down. Marcus stood over his defeated opponent, not even breathing heavily, extending a hand to help Throcan to his feet. "Good match," Marcus said simply, his translator rendering the words into Vorthic clicking. "Your form is excellent, but you telegraph. Your combination's about half a second before execution. Work on that, and you'll be unstoppable." Throcan stared at the offered hand for a long moment before accepting it, allowing the human to help him stand. When he spoke, his voice carried a tone of wonder that his translator couldn't quite capture. "How?" was all he managed. Marcus smiled, a peculiarly human expression that had taken most of his classmates months to interpret correctly. We humans have a saying, "It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." But honestly, I just paid attention in Professor Zendai's xenobiology classes. Professor Zektar approached the training mat, his scarred features unreadable. "Cadet-chan, report to my office after class. We need to discuss your transfer to advanced tactical combat courses." As the other cadets dispersed, their conversations filled with hushed analysis of what they'd witnessed, Marcus helped Throcan collect his gear. The Vorthic warrior looked at his human classmate with new respect. "I underestimated you," Throcan admitted. "My people will not make that mistake again." "Good," Marcus replied, shouldering his bag. "Because out there among the stars, we're all on the same side. And trust me, you really want humans on your side." The lesson that day went far beyond combat techniques. It established a truth that would echo through the galactic military academy for generations. Never judge a species by their physical limitations. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon is the one between the ears. And sometimes the scariest thing in the galaxy is a human who's done their homework.